Do you smell that? It's the scent of the bowler's tears from this IPL. Runs. So many runs. It would make a cricket selector nervous. T20 cricket has been heading this way for a while, but this season is not the enemy at the gate. It has already kicked it down. So that means everyone is having to pick their World Cup squad with chaos and anarchy all surrounding them. And I'll be honest, a month back I had little interest in the Indian World Cup squad, or at least no more than any other team. But this IPL just dropped a clusterfuck on all the teams. And this is a domestic tournament for India right before a World Cup. Trying to select a World Cup team for India at the moment is like going into a city that's just been hit by a hurricane and working out if their public transportation works very well or not. I mean, if I ever wanted more proof that the Evan Gulbis effect was real, and I did not, the impact sub has supersized all the runs. An extra batter is worth a lot more than a spare bowler. And we are seeing that play out violently in this tournament. But here is where it gets more fun. Because in the World Cup, the pitches are still going to play a huge part. And despite casual fans' bloodlust for more runs, the World Cup pitches, if you think back, are usually pretty fair for batters and bowlers. And India will play a game in Antigua, Barbados and St Lucia, while the two semi-finals are scheduled for Guyana and Trinidad, and the final is back in Barbados. That is an eclectic lot of pitches, many of which we don't even have CPL or major international data on. I mean, for instance, Barbados is a wicket where pace bowlers have been getting hammered, but spinners take wickets there while still getting scored from. Guyana is a weird wicket where the ball can bounce incredibly low. Trinidad should spin, but the turning ball is averaging a lot of runs per wicket. St Lucia's stats vary wildly between the last 2 years. I mean, good luck trying to work all that out. So India has gone with the team a lot more about long-term career work and less about modern vibes. It honestly feels like a few selection committees around the world have thrown their hands up at this IPL. Like, Australia is McGurkless. So if you break down the Indian squad, you have 4 seam bowling options, 4 spinners, which of course includes 3 all-rounders. Additionally, there are 2 wicket keepers and 4 specialist batters. Shivan Dubey actually bowled in the IPL for the first time after being picked, and he does bowl for India. I'm not sure we're quite ready to call him an all-rounder, but he exists. Remember that cricket is a funny game. 100 years before we protected our head, players looked after their groins. So don't be as stupid as old cricketers. Protect your computer now. NordVPN is the protection I use when facing cyber short balls or when rights issues try to dismiss me. Geo-block so you can watch all the cricket you want. Grab your NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/Kimber. So we've looked at the Indian team up until the end of April, which is basically the period that the selectors were looking at as well. Let's start with Rohit Sharma. The big man needs to put the hit in Rohit, and he's mostly doing that right now. His power play figures have definitely improved. He has a weakness against leg spin, and of course left arm pace. And if he does go back into his shell, maybe India will end up in the same sort of par total craze that Pakistan is always in. Yashvi Jaiswal started quite slow and then he made that 100. His ability to score quickly in power plays and then maintain that rate when the spinners comes up while also making a lot of runs is the reason he has been picked. He hasn't played as much high-level T20 cricket as some other players, but you know, we've seen him in Test cricket, so we know his class. And you would assume it is his intent, oh, what a magical word, that has probably got him in this side ahead of Shubman Gill. Virat Kohli's accelerated strike rate this season is commendable, especially against pace. However, his trouble against spin, especially in the middle overs, is a bit of a concern. Essentially, you are getting him for the fact that he is Virat Kohli and he can handle the best bowlers in the world, but whether he starts to knock the ball around against spin will matter. India feel that they need someone of his level when the ball is doing something. But either everyone else needs to hit around him or he needs to be reminded to occasionally just put his foot on the gas. Suryakumar Yadav's prowess in the middle overs and his destructive abilities at the death make him, almost 2 players in one? Also, he can go against pace and against spin. At his best, he is an S-tier level T20 player. You know, one of the few guys to touch the sun. And if India get that version of him, a lot of the other issues go away. Rishabh Pant's return to form this year has been really promising. His performances at the death and against right arm pace are noteworthy, although he has been starting quite slowly. I just think with Rishabh Pant, you put him in the side and you let him off the chain. Tell him to bat like no one is watching. Sanju Samson's consistency and leadership qualities have been very important to the Rajasthan Royals, and his ability to perform against leg spin makes him a very valuable asset, although he's not as bullish against finger spin. His inclusion in the playing 11 could bolster India's middle order stability, but I think his real skill for India is the fact he can bat anywhere from 1 to 6. He is the ideal backup World Cup player. Shivam Dubé's reputation is someone who smashed the spin, but his recent record against pace is also quite fun and gives him some versatility. And while he excels in the later overs, we know he can smash the ball at the end, although he does struggle a little bit with left-arm pace. His potential inclusion as a 6th bowling option is optimistic, but I suppose he can bowl in an emergency. Hardik Pandya at his best is the first name you put on the team sheet. But this new anchor era version of Hardik has rattled me a little bit. Plus he lost his form as well, everyone was booing him, there was all that sort of stuff going on. Clearly there are some holes in his game and perhaps teams have found those, and so he doesn't find hitting 6s and 4s as easy as before. But you could also argue that he's a much more versatile player now and he can play multiple roles within this side. Although probably the whacking bit is what they really need. Ravi Jadeja is now a very strike rotatey kind of player. His days of slapping pace seem to be gone. He can still give you various options with the bat, but what section of an innings is he actually a plus at the moment? Although he certainly helps in the field. Akshar Patel has only faced 120 balls in the IPL this year, and he's kind of been in very random situations. There's been a little bit of firefighting in his batting, but what India really needs is his ability to hit boundaries towards the end of the innings. If you think about Akshar and Ravi Jadeja, and also throw in Hardik Pandya, chances are 2 of them are going to play. At least one of them needs to work out how to consistently whack boundaries at the end of innings. Otherwise, they've got a lot of guys with batting skill who can't actually give them all that much damage. In previous World Cups, India has got in trouble with defensive bowling options at times. But the good news is, it's hard to bowl well in the IPL at the moment without taking wickets. Jasprit Bumrah may be in career best form, which is probably pretty scary if you're going up against him from 22 yards away. His versatility across all parts of the game mean that they can use him however they please. He's taken a lot of wickets this IPL at barely more than a run a ball. In this IPL. That's crazy. News just in, Jasprit Bumrah can bowl. Mohammad Siraj is a potential match winner in most formats. But in T20, he runs even hotter and colder than he does in the longer version. He's essentially a rhythm bowler, which means he has an incredibly high ceiling and an incredibly low floor. He can swing matches in favour of India at any time, but he can also do the opposite to that. For Punjab, Arshdeep Singh has to share the new ball with 2 international players, which if you're a swing bowler is not really an ideal situation. While his economy rate is elevated, he has a knack for taking wickets. Then we get to Hardik Pandya's bowling. Despite his potential to provide balance to the team with both bat and ball, Pandya's recent bowling has been kind of underwhelming, on the verge of unbowlable at times. With the spinners, you have Kuldeep Yadav, who has just become an absolute star of this IPL. He's brilliant at taking wickets in the middle overs, and he's also a much better defensive bowler than he's ever been before. Plus, he's really good against right and left-handers, and batters do come in both of those forms. He also has some tiny little bit of batting, more along the lines of the plucky number 9 vibes. If India want wickets, then Yuzi Chahal is the right guy, especially against right-handers. He is an incredible strike bowler. However, obviously, he can't really bat or field, meaning that if India want him in the side, it means their 9, 10 and 11 are basically just giving them bowling. Akshar Patel's left-arm finger spin provides India with another reliable bowling option, particularly effective in containing opposition batters during the middle overs. Ravi Jadeja's left-arm finger spin provides India with another reliable bowling option, particularly effective at containing opposition batters during the middle overs. Do you see a pattern here? I mean, they can't play both, right? Unless they go up against an entire team of right-handers. And even then, Chahal will probably come in. And Chahal is the bigger problem because neither of them particularly matches well with him. And it's worth just having a quick look at some of the reserves as well. Rinku Singh is probably quite unlucky to miss out. Shubman Gill, who probably couldn't play once they wanted Rohit and Virat. Khalil Ahmed, who I like, but I think there were some other players I might have had slightly above him. And Avesh Khan, who I definitely would not have had in the squad because there are Sandeep Sharma and T Natarajan right there. What did T Natarajan do wrong? And you look at the entire squad and you do see a safe team. And often at World Cups, that is where India has gone a little bit wrong. Would they be better with Abhishek Sharma opening the batting and Mayank Yadav, well, injuries permitted, bowling in the middle overs? Probably not, right? But at the first sign of a loss, people will say that, like they did with Umran Malik in 2022. They're not saying that anymore about him. For World Cups, you usually pick older players and you don't go heavy on form. The problem is that this IPL is the strongest smelling tournament we've ever had. It's right there in front of us and it's almost impossible not to notice it. And so with that, full credit must go to the Indian selectors who, unlike the rest of us, seem not to have watched a single ball of this tournament. A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? That I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I'm sitting on a new one right now. I'm the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from FlexiSpot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under-desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from FlexiSpot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of FlexiSpot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric, ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of FlexiSpot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.